What is up, everybody? It is me, DevilNeverCry, and of course, you have guessed it, we are back yet again with another Resident Evil Village video. Getting the sweet SS rank on the castle stage, or at least the first variant of it, which we'll get into the variants in just a second. Ethan is going to go for the sniper rifle here yet again. It's going to carry us all the way through, and Lady D is nowhere to be seen in the castle stage, in her own castle on that, because she knows Ethan was an absolute fiend in Modern Warfare 2 with the intervention sniper rifle, just 360 no-scoping, wall-banging people like it was a joke, and she doesn't want that happening to her, you know. She's quaking in her big old hat, her bonnet, so she's nowhere to be seen. We'll just leave it at that. And that is all besides the point, of course, but we are playing through the castle stage. We're going to get the SS rank. You can follow this as strictly or as loosely as possible. You can play with yourself. You can play by yourself. You can play along. That is the phrase, Jesus, I was looking for. You can pause it. You can fight enemy by enemy and follow it down to a T, because the timer doesn't run when you pause. You can do it that way if you want, as we come across a Soldat Panzer there and their big old head taking a nap here in the dungeon. Or you can optimize and improve this route, because there is room for optimization. But we're going to get the SS rank regardless. Forget about the old Soldat Panzer, dude. We're going to find a pipe bomb in just a second. You'll want to pick it up, because it's vital for stripping of this Panzer, this Soldat of their Panzer, of this armor. And it's going to expose their heart. We're going to use the power of anime and friendship to have a heart-to-heart with my rifle and his heart. Get to the core of the matter, literally. Pun fully intended. And, yeah, take him to the penetration station as we, you know, shot through the heart. He's to blame. He gives love a bad name. I don't know why those lyrics came to my head, but they just did. And, yeah, great start to the video, great start to this guide, supposedly. We start off in the dungeon. We're working our way up, and 19 enemies in this area. Not too bad. Nice, short and sweet. Get through all of the enemies. It's fairly simple and easy to keep your combo going here. Again, try and go for every enemy. There'll be times where your combo may or may not drop. Try and avoid that as much as possible, but if it happens, it happens. You don't need it if you want to get the S rank, which is all you need if you want to get the S rank all stages to get the Platinum Trophy. But I mentioned variants, right? After you beat through these first 4 stages, you unlock a second variant of the first 4 stages, the only 4 stages of that, and oh boy, they're spicy, to say the least. They are variants with harder enemies, harder enemy waves, enemy spawns, and the enemies have a lot of damage that they can take, and a lot of damage that they can dish out, so yeah, that's going to keep you on your toes, but we'll get to that when we get to that. This stage has 4 areas. The village stage, the first one only had 3. The next stage, the factory, only has 2. But we'll get to that when we come to that. And the final area of this stage is going to be interesting, because it's going to feature Angie, and we're going to have to do some dilly-dallying in regards to getting the route sort of started by skipping a few enemies, so that we can backtrack on ourselves and get the perfect route going. But you'll see that when we get to the final stage here, as we encounter the old Duke in this pocket dimension. Just chilling like a villain in his chair, doing God knows what, probably jerking off with a gun barrel, I'd imagine. Seems like that kind of character, but I'm not one to judge, I'm not one to king shame. If that's what he's into, more power to the Duke. So, one topic I actually kind of want to talk about in this game is the shooting, and how abhorrent and just bad it is. Janky is probably what comes to mind, and it's that way on purpose, of course, right? Because if you compare this to any other modern FPS, like Doom, you know, any other, like Overwatch, bloody Call of Duty, Battlefield, whatever, the shooting in those games is nice, snappy, responsive. The shooting in this game is slow, sluggish, janky, and the FOV is terrible. Nauseating for some, even, right? And they've done that for this claustrophobic effect. You know, they've also made it harder to shoot and line up things, because let's be honest, if you had pinpoint accuracy and aim and you can just beam people like an absolute machine, the tension would not be there, right? So they've made it incredibly vague on purpose, and they've limited your field of view so that you can't see what's around the corner or what's coming at you, because that makes things scarier, right? And that's fine for the campaign. It sucks for a mode like this, which is more fast-paced, more frenetic, and generally requires you to be, you know, on point, right? And I mean, it's not too bad because the whole game design revolves around the shooting, right? And they've adapted and allowed you to basically not struggle too much, but it becomes really apparent when you switch to any other FPS game and you come back to this and it's just like, Jesus, what are we doing here, you know? But just something I kind of had to get off my chest because it was just, yeah, something that was eating away at me for a while because I've been thinking, why, you know? Like it could put people off. There definitely are some people I know that have been put off specifically because of the shooting. But let's be honest, Resident Evil was never known for its shooting mechanics, its gunplay, shall we say? But it's, you know, seeing them take on a bit of more of an action-oriented role, the limitations of the gunplay become all the more apparent in Mercenaries mode. And this Mercenaries mode is different to RE5 and 6, which I love RE5's Mercenaries mode. I've put tens and probably hundreds of hours into that game, especially on PS3 and PS4. First Platinum I got, probably hands down my favorite RE5, which is blasphemy to some, but hey, different strokes for different folks, right? I'm sure many of you have realized by now as well that you actually have Heisenberg commentating, which is funny. Everyone's favorite character, Heisenberg. Still don't know why Ethan didn't actually go along with Heisenberg's plan. You know, it's foolproof. You guys team up, you slap Miranda up, you get your daughter back, and then you stab Heisenberg in the back, and everybody walks away nice and happy. But no, Ethan has to make it hard on himself, tell the guy who's lending a hand to fuck off. The only person, actually, who's attempted to lend him a hand. Sure, Heisenberg's a tool, but, you know, Chris basically just came in, bodied your wife, and then just mugged you off every time he saw you, and then Heisenberg out here is just like, hey, you know, we should team up. And Ethan's like, no, I don't think I will. And then he runs into Propellerhead, and yeah, things spiral out of control from there. But it is interesting to see some of the soldats and factory enemies in these other areas of the village, right? Because that's not where you usually see them, as we're in this room here with the Sanguinus Virginis, which is another topic in and of itself. But it makes you think about, you know, what the village would look like if Heisenberg did get his Franken monsters up and about and just cause chaos, right? But yeah. Oh, one thing I do want to mention is this whole Sanguinus Virginis thing, right? The maiden's blood. How do they know that said person they're taking the blood from is a supposed maiden, as I say in air quotes? Like, do they know? They're like, oh, this tastes fucking used. No thanks. You know, very strange. It just in general, as we come across the Dimitrescu sisters, which I don't really know, looking at the character models, which is which. It's kind of obvious to see in the concept art, but in the character models it's kind of hard, especially when you're trying to blast them to pieces as fast as possible, right? But yeah, back onto the whole Maiden's Blood thing and just drinking in general. They have maids and servants. Why? Why do they need maids and servants cooking them food? You know, that you can find journal entries and such discussing like supper and stuff, and it's just like, these people consume flesh and blood for sustenance. Why the hell are they eating food, you know? Or if they can sustain themselves on just normal food, why do they need the... Well, we know why they need the flesh and blood. You know, Dimitrescu, Lady D needs it because of her, basically, blood disease, and the sisters are all made up of just carnivorous flies, which is just an interesting endeavor altogether, right? But yeah, strange that they'd need servants. Guess maybe they're too lazy. This is a big castle after all, and they don't want to do all the housekeeping themselves, especially when all they seem to do is wail around with the sickles and just cause havoc. But who knows? If you haven't realized already, we're going to be fighting all three of the sisters here. You definitely want to start off in the hall. Skip the dining room and the courtyard. Go to the hall, then go off to the dining room and courtyard. Because if you go to the courtyard first and then try and go back to the hall, once you double back to the courtyard, there will be no enemies. So your combo is going to die, and so will your hopes and dreams of an S rank. But just food for thought. As we are in the room with the piano, as we just absolutely slap up a soldat jet, or a jet soldat as he lands. Good old explosive enemies. It seems like this ability and upgrade just packs enemies with nitroglycerin upon impact of death. You know, their head hits the floor and then boom, just everything goes up with it. But I touched upon RE5 and 6, right? The Mercenaries in this game is entirely different. It's apparently more akin to the raid mode, because there are different stages, different areas of a stage you go through along with these different abilities, which wasn't really how it was in RE5 or 6. As the final sister just dies, just blows the hell up almost immediately. There goes the nitroglycerin I was talking about. As we come to the end of this stage. Now, you want to kind of prioritize, again I've said this before, prioritize getting all the enemies. If your combo drops, it's fine. Not needed for the S rank if you want to, if you're going for that. Not needed to keep it going the entire time, but try and get your combo at least into the 30s if the enemy count allows for it. Obviously, the first area here only has 19 enemies, so there is no way to get a combo of 30, if that makes sense. As we move off into the Duke's area for the last time, so I kind of just end up doubling the speed here for just a bit, because menuing isn't the greatest thing to look at, but you should know that we are still only rocking the F2 sniper rifle, and that's going to carry us to this final area. So I sip down some water here. There's a couple things I want to mention in this final area. First of which, Angie. You're going to want to shoot her twice to get her to move, and you want to follow her. And after you shoot her for the second time, then you want to begin your standard route through the castle. Don't shoot a bunch of enemies and then shoot Angie and try and follow her, because you're going to screw yourself out of dropping your combo, essentially. And also, as you go to leave the castle, don't leave it fully. There are 2 birds that we're going to have to go and shoot, which will give us an insane amount of boost to our timer, which is going to be great for getting those extra points as we try and race Angie up the stairs here, because the last one there is a rotten egg. We'll take a bit of a detour for some ammunition. Let Angie win. Let her feel good about herself. She's just a doll after all, you know. And now that we've shot her twice, this is where the fun begins. So we make our way down the stairs with the old soldats. I'm sure Lady D would have been, well, she is turning in her grave. The thought of Heisenberg's abominations just chilling through her castle, ruining her marble floors. As the flaming enemies come out of nowhere. I guess the enemies couldn't take the heat, huh? So many puns, so little time. So we move on to the foyer, where the old masks were. No longer here, of course. And we're going to have to wait around and stick around a little bit here for the enemies, as they kind of funnel their way to us. You know, play a bit of a waiting game here. Be sure to keep a lookout, as I almost missed this enemy chilling on the stairs here. They didn't get the memo that they had to come in and die for us, as we take out an armored Lycan. And once these enemies are all sort of done, and you'll know when they are gone, because you'll be around the 22, 23, 24 mark in regards to your combo if you haven't let a single enemy, if you haven't dropped your combo at all. And at that point, you'll know that it is time to move the hell on. Don't leave too prematurely, because these enemies take their time to spawn in. So we have the old soldat here. It might be worth sort of just letting them spawn in first. Don't try not to kill them during their spawning animation, because that will give the game time to get the other enemies spawned in. And once you know that it's time to move on, try and move away from the enemies towards your next destination, then turn around and shoot them. It will give you a bit more of a buffer zone to get to your next enemy, as we pretty much just almost let the combo die here. If that enemy didn't, if we didn't one-shot that enemy, it would have died completely. But we're coming up to the bit I mentioned with the blue birds, not the blue balls, to be confused. And you want to shoot them, and they give you a wonderful chunk to your time. Not only will it give you time to do some backtracking, which we'll be doing at the end of the stage, but also it will just add to the timer and let us get extra points at the end of this area, the final area at that. It's funny because Angie is actually sitting in the field there to our left, just chilling amongst the scarecrows. If you didn't know, these scarecrows are made up of the men who were in Castle Dimitrescu, who got their shit pushed in, for all intents and purposes. They got slapped up. They stuck a couple batteries up their ass and called them a generator, so to speak, which is an analogy that makes no sense at all in this situation, but hey, if it works, it works. And we're going to be chilling here for a little bit, and there's going to be a big old Soldat Panzer who spawns off on our right there. And a thing you probably should be doing here, in fact, is you want to just throw that bomb at him, or hit him with a mine, and then run behind him. Go all the way to the end of that corridor, because there is time to pick up. In fact, if you want, you can skip it. I go ahead and pick it up when I don't need to. Angie there dies, and be aware that if she doesn't die there, she will go all the way back into the castle, which is fine because it's going to be where we're going. But don't lose track of her if you don't know where she's going to appear. I already know where she was going to be in the castle, but it was a pleasant surprise for me that she died there. And we don't really have much of a combo now. It's pretty much dead, but it's fine. We're going to be going through the castle here, backtracking and just wrapping up these final couple of enemies. So we go for this ability orb, which we don't really need at this point, but hey, I didn't want to just leave it there, you know, by itself out in the cold. No shelter. I'm not heartless like that. We take our blue orbs here. We take care of them. As if they were DMC blue orbs, which are infinitely more interesting because they give you health boosts, right? DMC, RE, where does one end, where does one begin? I'm never going to stop saying that. It's too late now. Look at this Soldat Panzer just chilling there, though. No, not even a Panzer, sorry. Just a Soldat. I wonder what they were doing. Just having a one-man rave, a one-Soldat rave up there at the top of the stairs. Probably looking at the stairs, wondering if they could dive headfirst in them. Like they were playing Call of Duty Black Ops. Dolphin diving down the stairs and wondering if their cranium would stay intact. How many steps their head would have to hit before it cracks open like a Kinder Egg. You find out there's no Kinder Bueno hitting your head off a set of stairs. And that pretty much is it for the enemies. And now we make our way to the end of the stage and onwards to our SS rank. With all that said and done, it has been me, DevilNeverCry. I would like to thank all of you for watching, and as always, I'll see you all next video.